What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this POV review by AutoTopNL. My name is Max, and today I am going to take you around my own BMW 325i. This is a 1991 E30 model, and it is actually my girlfriend's car. Now, I bought this car a while ago, and since then I've been busy sort of fixing it up. It had a lot of issues, and I just kept postponing making a video about it. But it is going to get some new parts today, so I needed to do a video about the fact that I bought this car and the condition I bought it in and all the stuff that is on the car right now. So I thought I'll just do it quickly this week, but then after, I don't know, 2 months of drought, the weather gods decided that we could use some rain, which is good, but also bad. But anyway, I don't really care. I'm not going to do an Autobahn run anyway right now because the car just isn't in the right condition. It does suffer from a little bit of oil leakage, and it needs some new washers and seals and stuff like that. So I'm not going to do an Autobahn run today. I might do it in the future. Today is about the fact that I bought it, and I'll do a little introduction of the E30 3 Series as well. So that is what we are going to do today. As I said, it is my girlfriend's car, and I could not get her into a modern car if my life depended on it. She did not want to drive a car that was built after, let's say, 1995. She likes boxy cars, square cars. So this was absolutely perfect. She thinks it's the coolest car ever made. It is her bay, and well, I really like that. So it is my job to keep it running and to keep it running well, so I can enjoy it from time to time as well, which I do. I absolutely adore this car. I think it looks amazing. I think it's one of the best looking BMWs ever made. It is the sedan version, as you can see, so the 4-door. I would have loved the touring as well, because they started making those in 1987, but my girlfriend liked this better. So this is what we ended up with. It is a black car, as you can see. Well, it is a very, very dark gray actually. And I think it looks really cool with the quintessential BMW spoke wheels. I think it looks absolutely mega with the twin headlights, of course, the 4 round ones. Legendary front end. Of course, its predecessor, the E21 3 Series, also had those lights. It is a bit more square. This is a Series 2, so they built these cars from 1982 to 1994. And in 1987 there was a big update. So after 87 we tend to call them Series 2, and it lost a lot of chrome. The bumpers are black plastic instead of chrome, and it used to be a lot more protruded. They also call them diving boards because you could practically stand on them. That is how big they were. And I think this is the best looking version. I think it's a bit more modern looking than the older ones. You still do get some chrome around the windows, as you can see. So it still has that classic look. But yeah, it is amazing. Now, we do have a little issue. As you can see, we are missing a little splitter down here. Yeah, if you... The car sits pretty low, and when you hit like a speed bump or you have to turn on a driveway that goes down a little bit or something like that, you tend to hit that thing on the front. And one time she just hit it too hard and it came off. But they are relatively easy to get, so we are going to replace that ASAP. We might actually do like an MTech thing, which is a little bit more sporty, but we'll see about that. We are going to replace it, of course. I might actually turn off the headlights because I don't want to drain the battery, which happens quite quickly on these cars. So, wheels and tires. A good thing is that you can still relatively easy get a lot of parts for this car. So you can still get tires and wheels, and I mean the aftermarket is absolutely massive for this car. But also BMW still makes a lot of important stuff. So I can actually buy these wheels at my BMW dealership, De Maase in Echt. Just a new set of wheels from 1991 or 1987 basically, which is very, very cool. I really like that. These are 205/55 tires with 15-inch wheels. Very cute little wheel. but it looks amazing. These center caps actually, if they get too loose, you can actually see it on the left side. So this one, you can see that it is way too loose. I can actually open that, close it. Oh, that is better. Yeah, that is a little bit better actually. So you should tighten them from time to time, but you can actually hear it like ringing when you drive over like a brick road. You can hear it ringing sometimes, so you have to make sure that they are tightened properly. Now this car also has, I'm not sure if you can see that, it has a Bilstein suspension, but I do think that it sits a bit too low, especially at the rear. I mean, it looks very cool, don't get me wrong. I think it sits very, it just looks right to me, but it does bottom out on speed bumps, so it might be good to raise it a little bit, just a couple of centimeters. And it is actually going to Intrax today, which is a Dutch company who specialize in suspension, dampers, and they are basically one of the best in the world at that. So I'm really looking forward to getting an Intrax setup on this car, because I think it will improve the handling, the ride quality of this car so dramatically, because it is a little bit too stiff now. It is really good to have some fun on a B road, but for daily driving, which my girlfriend does, it might be a little bit too much. So we are going to have a look at that. We've got the sunroof, electric sunroof, which is very nice, electric windows as well. And then at the rear, 325i badge, little spoiler there on the boot lid, which I absolutely love. Dual exhaust. As you can see, I might do an exhaust at some point that looks a bit more chromy and gives a bit more sound, perhaps. And then the engine. So we've got a clamshell style opening bonnet here. And then the inline 6 M20 B25 engine. This is the 2.5 liter inline 6, and it's got around 170 horsepower and 222 newton meters of torque. Max power at 5800 RPM, and the red line is at 6,500. So you have to rev it out to get the absolute maximum power from it. It is actually diamond black, this color, Diamant Schwarz. So it is a super dark gray in my opinion, but what do I know? And then we've got this strut here from Wiegers Sport, BMW E30 4 and 6 cylinder strut, which is very nice. One of the previous owners actually did a lot of cool stuff to it. They did this, they did the Bilstein. It also has a limited slip diff, and it has full steel braided brake lines front to rear. Now, what have I done? Quite a lot. The cylinder head came off and we did a revision on that. This was all done by BMW de Maase in Echt, who actually know a lot of stuff about these E30s. So if you have one and you need help with it, you can go and check them out. They know a lot about these. Cylinder head came off, we did a revision. Then, well, basically we did an engine revision. So a lot of seals, gaskets, filters, fluids, everything came out. New ones went in, made sure that nothing leaked. Oil pan, gearbox, drive shaft, seals, stuff like that, all new. And well, it really needed that, because it felt like it was running on nails at some point. It was just didn't sound very good. There was a loss of power. It wasn't really performing, and it just, yeah, didn't feel very good. So it definitely needed a little engine revision. And then we did some other small stuff, like it was recently, it was smelling a lot like petrol. So there were some hoses that had to be changed because they were porous, and it's got new fuel lines, because those are also, you know, safety things. And we actually also have a new crankshaft on the car, because that one was gone as well. We got some winter tires, so my girlfriend can drive in the winter as well. And I actually have the old crankshaft right here. So you can see, I hope you guys can see that, stuff like this. It was just going a little bit, and well, we thought, since we're doing a lot of stuff, we might as well do this as well, because it was not running very well anymore. But boot space is actually very good. As you can see, this is quite a small car, but because it has McPherson struts at the front and semi-trailing arm suspension at the rear, it actually is a very compact setup for the suspension, and that means that it is quite a spacious car, boot space and cabin space wise, for such a small thing. I mean, it is, what is this, like 1 series, basically 1 series size, and you have quite a bit of cabin and boot space, which I really like. Of course, you also have super thin A-pillars and a low belt line, so that also means that you have a nice spacious cabin. And just start it up. Let me just get the blower on the window there. So as you can see, with my 1.97 m giant body, I can actually fit in here, drive this car very well. Seating position is really good. I mean, this is better than some modern cars, which I really appreciate. Yeah, rear passenger space, it's not that much, of course, but you know, you could fit some children back there or small adults. And then, as I said, we've got the electric sunroof, we've got electric windows as well. Although we do have some issues with that, some fuses that keep blowing. We don't know what it is. We cleaned everything inside the door because we thought that, you know, the window was catching on something and it was just a little bit old and it was just too hard for the car to raise and lower the windows. But we cleaned everything, still blowing a fuse now and then, but you know, whatever. We got, I think she has like, yeah, she has like a little box of fuses with her at all times, so she can change them if she needs to, and we just accept it. And the central locking system is also an issue, which we changed, but it's still not working properly. Yeah, this is the life of owning a classic car. There's always something to do, and on the one hand, that is fun. On the other hand, you know, sometimes I just want to strangle this car because there's always something wrong. But anyway, it always runs, which is the most important thing. So, other than that, this car has been spec'd pretty well, actually. We don't have leather seats, but I actually quite like this. Although the driver's seat, you might have seen that, is a bit worn, so we might change that. We've got an M steering wheel, an M gear shifter. We might tighten that up a little bit as well. But it is a very nice car. I can definitely recommend anyone who is looking, you know, into like classic cars. This is a really easy and relatively cheap way to do it, because they made like 2.4 million of these E30s between 82 and 94, and that means that there were a lot of them. I mean, they're less and less every year because they tend to rust away, but there are so many spare parts for it. As I said, BMW still makes a lot of stuff as well, and you know, that makes it just relatively easy. We even have electric mirror adjustment right here, so you can which actually surprised me quite a bit that was still working. Quite impressive. Rust, we do have to cover that. As I said, they do tend to rust away. Now, there are a few things you have to check for, like all those small little edges, stuff like that tends to go first. And then I do have one spot here, I'll show you. On the suspension tower, this is something I do need to get fixed, but it's not too bad actually. It's not rusted through, and as you can see, the rest of it is pretty damn good. Everything looks rather nice, and it runs so well now. Such a smooth drive. I mean, especially after, you know, the engine revision. Before that, it was just horrible. Another cool retro detail, we have this cassette holder here, which is so awesome. You can put your cassettes, your 6 favorite cassettes in here, and you would have them closed at all times. But we have this Grundig CD player right now, which I do think looks pretty decent actually. You also see like these Alpina things, or with a screen, or just a little bit too modern. I quite like this. This is sort of OEM plus, I would say. Now we don't have AC, so usually in the summer you have to drive with your windows down, but we do have a very good heater actually that works super well. Gets hot very quickly, and yeah, quite like that. Control panel up there, for some reason it always says that I need more coolant, but it's not true. All right. So what does that feel like? 170 horsepower. This car weighs 1100 kilos. And well, from the first time I drove this car, I fell in love, because it is just a very simple, basic driving experience. You don't have traction control, stuff like that. You just have a manual, an inline six, rear wheel drive, and a very good balance. The car feels alive, agile. The turn in is great. You can slide it around really easily. You just have to like wiggle the steering wheel, give a little bit of throttle, especially when it's wet, and the car just goes. As I said, we've had a big drought, so this is the first proper rain we've had in like 2 months. So that means that it is super slippery. Actually noticed that when I was driving home yesterday, when I accidentally drifted half a roundabout. And this is actually one of the back roads I can use to get from my home to the office, which is quite nice. I tend to use this road when I have this car or when I am on the motorbike. It's a very nice road. You might have seen it in earlier videos. We use it sometimes for car videos as well. Now, another cool thing about this is that even though it is quite a fast car, it is not really to today's standards, you know, and that means that you can actually properly use it. So you can actually hit the throttle without you going, you know, too crazy fast. So let's do a little pull away. It sounds really good, and that was not even 100 kilometers an hour, and the speedo is very optimistic, so that is probably like 90, and that just means that you have a little bit more fun, right? You're not too worried about going too fast or about the car getting away from you, or it being, you know, too dangerous or whatever. It's just easy. And they are actually very reliable. These engines, I mean, 170 horsepower from a 2.5 liter inline six. It is not that much. They're not that stressed. And that is the cool thing about this car. I mean, there have been so many engines in this car, from 4 cylinders to 6 cylinders, 6-cylinder diesels as well. There was a 4-wheel drive version even. You also had a 325iX, which actually was a very modern system for its time, and still actually works pretty well. That is nice. It just sounds so cool. It's just engine sound. I might do an intake as well. Maybe then, you know, you get a little bit more of that 6-cylinder sound. But as you can hear, it runs so well right now, this car. Oh, the throttle response is beautiful. It is just an absolute joy to drive. Gearbox 5-speed. They also had a 4-speed and the M3 E30, which of course didn't have a 6-cylinder, it had a 4-cylinder. That had a 5-speed gearbox as well, but with a dogleg, and this is just a regular H pattern. Oh. Yeah, sometimes I feel like selling this car, but every time I drive it, I'm like, nah, I'm keeping it. Brakes, actually not bad as well. Well, not bad. When you do like high-speed stuff, they're not great. But we have disc brakes at the front and at the rear, perforated discs at the front, solid discs at the rear. And some earlier models actually had drum brakes at the rear, but we have the good setup. So top speed is 218 kilometers an hour, so that is actually pretty fast. And so that it is a good thing that you have those proper brakes, which actually work really well. It has a very nice pedal feel too. Like all the pedals have been weighted just perfectly. Steering is nice and direct, although I do feel like it could have been a little bit better, or in this particular car we might be able to fix that, because as you can see the center is pretty bad, but then when you get past that it just feels so nice. And that is the thing about this car, it is all about the feel. You just feel everything that is going on underneath you. You feel like your seat, your bum is a very good way to gauge the amount of grip you have, what the car is doing, what is happening, and that just makes it so much fun. And that goes for everything. As I said, pedal feel, steering feel, you just have so much feedback, which is something I really miss these days. Yes, please. And even though it goes really quickly, I mean, it steps out very easily. What kind of road is that? It is easily controlled as well, because you have, you know, that super quick throttle response. And the car is so light and it just responds so well to your input that just makes it so much easier. It's such a friendly little car, you know. Everyone loves this car as well. I don't think any of our cars get so much positive attention. You know, when you drive the Ferraris, sometimes you have people that really look at you like you're a dick. But in this, everyone likes you. I get thumbs up from so many different people. Anytime I encounter another E30, they're like smiling and waving, and it's very wholesome, which I really like. Alright, so I think that is it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. As I said, I will do some upgrades to it and change a couple of things, and then I will be back to show you and tell you more about that. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. You can subscribe by clicking the big button in the middle. You can also check out this video on the right or this playlist on the left. See you at the next one. Bye.